There is possessiveness. There is a sense of identifying oneself with something else. And when there is that attachment and identification, there is always uncertainty. Isn't that, these are facts, aren't they? No? So, can you be free of attachment? Not tomorrow or when you are on the deathbed. Then, of course, it's very simple to be detached. You can't argue with death. But now living our daily life, to be free of every form of attachment without becoming isolated, which again breeds fear. I may detach myself from this and from everything else and suddenly feel I am lonely. This sense of emptiness. And being frightened of that emptiness, begin again being attached not to a person but to some marvelous ideal. All that, in every form of attachment, brings fear. A man or a woman who really inquires and demands, challenges himself, that he can ever be free of fear. Then we have to have a quick insight into the whole nature of attachment. Have you, as we are talking, exploring with each other, have you got this feeling, this insight, this immediate perception, the whole nature of our attachment and its structure with all the complications involved in it? See it instantly. And when you see it in all its totality, it's finished. It doesn't mean you become callous. Doesn't mean you become isolated. On the contrary, you are a free human being who is no longer held down by fear. Right? That's only one expression of fear. Perhaps the deepest expression of fear, of losing what you have. Actually, you have nothing, but that's irrelevant. So, what is the root of all this fear? See, most of us are inclined to trim the branches of fear. Right? I'm afraid of this thing, therefore let me get rid of it. Or let me go to somebody who will help me to be free of fear, of that particular expression of fear. The psychologist, the priest, the analyst, the latest gurus and all the business. But we're not concerned with the trimming of the tree of fear, but rather to uncover the root of fear. So that when you see the root of it and have depth of understanding of the root, then if you have such an understanding and such an insight, then fear disappears completely. You're no longer afraid psychologically. Physically is a different matter. Physically, one must be careful. One must be rational, sane. Unless you're extraordinarily neurotic, then that's a different matter. But physically, one must be watchful of danger, as you will be watchful of a precipice, as you will be watchful of a dangerous animal. And perhaps human beings are becoming more and more dangerous than any animal. So one has to be watchful of human beings, the terrorists, the politicians. Are there any politicians here? And very watchful of gurus. And so on and on and on. So, one understands the watchfulness, the danger, physical. But what is the root of psychological fear? Please challenge, ask yourself. Don't accept my challenge. Ask yourself, what is the root of all? Don't say, I don't know, and just leave it like that. Or draw some conclusion. If you do, it'll prevent you from finding out the root of it. If you say, I really don't know, right, what the root of the fear is, then you start with humility. Then you say, I really don't know, but I'm going to find out. But if you start with the arrogance of saying, I can solve it, I know, I have all the facts about fear, then you are starting with a conclusion, with a sense of hope, which doesn't mean you must be in despair to ask it. But if you are really deeply concerned with the nature and the structure of fear at its very depth, what is the root of fear? Those of you who have read or heard the speaker before, don't say, yes, I know it. That's a cheap trick. Because you have heard somebody tell you that. And that may be the truth, but it's not the truth. It's somebody else's. There is no your truth or my truth. But if you accept a statement made by somebody like this person and say, yes, I've heard that before, but it hasn't got rid of my fear, then you are living, then language is driving you. You understand? Language is driving you. Language is using you. But if you are free of what you have heard before, but actually demand now, as you are sitting there, to find out what's the essence, the root, the basis of all fear, then as you don't know, you come to it afresh. You come to it with a certain sense of curiosity to find out. But if you come to it already with some conclusion, well, there is no possibility of your understanding the root of it. So let's find out together, afresh, what's the root of this whole nature and the structure of fear. When you want to find out, if you have a motive